What is that one fact you know that always makes people respond, and why the asterisk do you know that? This will get buried, but don't ever bury a dead body in an area without any vegetation. The high nitrogen content in our bodies helps plant to grow, and there will be a weird grassy patch at the top of burial site and anyone would be able to spot it. Most victims in survivable plane crashes died of jet fuel burning and choking them. Smoke hoods could save hundreds of lives if installed on airplanes. Likely many more than flotation devices since ditching is incredibly rare. Bonus. Backwards-facing seats would make a plane crash much easier to survive thanks to the G-forces pressing you against the seat instead. At a single time. The sloth's body mass can be comprised of 1/3. It takes several hours for the sloth to excrete its bowels completely. Back in the day, poor families would collect their urine so they could sell it to tanners. Hence, poor. If you were poorer than that, well, you didn't even have a pot to in. A bear fought in the Polish army in World War II. The cub was discovered by Polish prisoners in the mountains of Iran. They taught him how to puff and swallow cigarettes. Even taught him learned how to turn on communal showers, pick up recruits, and carried empty ammunition crates on the front lines. When you drop a human uterus on the floor, it will bounce. That you cannot burn toddlers alive in The Sims 4. Even if you make a building full of fire and put 7 toddlers in the burning building for hours. Spinal fluid tastes like a mixture of bananas and a 9-volt battery. And I don't want to talk about it. If you feed a human body to pigs, they will eat just about all of it except the teeth. Several murderers in rural areas have used this fact to their advantage. That you can disembowel yourself if you lift weights that are too heavy. Happened to my high school gym teacher. Said he's never felt anything quite like out your intestines. Opossums eat ticks like we eat potato chips. They'll hoover up 5,000 ticks a week and never get Lyme disease themselves. The stringy things inside bananas are called phloem bundles. They allow the nutrients of the banana to travel the length of the fruit. They're kinda like the vascular system of the plant. Alcoholics decompose faster when they die. Source. Was a crime scene cleaner. Edit. So I posted this last night while falling asleep, so here is some clarification. When people die they decompose. But people that are alcoholics will decompose faster than normal dead people. Why? I have no idea. It's been so long since I was in that line of work, I just remember enough stories and facts to stay interesting. Love y'all. The fox has many different vocalizations, including a mating call that sounds like the Hollywood representation of a woman being murdered in the middle of the night. Edit. And boom goes my inbox. In ancient Babylon, people would build their most valuable possessions, fine wine, among others, into the walls of their basement, which in the region was usually a naturally occurring cave. So when the taxman came he couldn't see it to count it. Gorillas have the smallest to-body ratio. Further proof I share a common ancestor with them. B explode when they finish. And they die. Finish living with a bang. Bears eat a ton of grass and twigs and stuff before they hibernate to constipate themselves and pretty much prevent waking up mid-winter too. However, when they finally do wake up in the spring, their first is a mean one. Pythagoras from the Pythagorean theorem ran a cult. And another group came to come and murder him by locking him inside his house and setting it on fire. But instead he had his followers make a human ladder to escape the fire. But then abandoned them and they all died. He was murdered later that night being chased by the group in a bean field. A Russian woman had a ton of triplets, twins, and quadruplets, with the same man totaling up to 69 children. The heart, if perfused through the aorta with an appropriate solution, will beat for hours outside of the body. Erich Hartmann, the top fighter ace of history, yoinked Hitler's hat. He was being given an award by Hitler himself and had gotten absolutely hammered just a few hours before. As in, he practically couldn't walk, so he's waiting to meet Hitler and be awarded a high honor. Is completely drunk, and realizes he doesn't have his hat. So he reaches for the closest one. And it's a bit big. Hitler's Luftwaffe adjutant is just appalled. But everyone else is laughing. The big guy with one ball isn't here yet, and Eric says that it was too big. Then he jokes about Hitler having a big head. He was actually drunk the third and final time he met Hitler too. And according to him, Hitler admitted to him that they had lost the war. So yeah. One time the best fighter pilot in history stole Hitler's hat because he was drunk. Lemons are a cross between a citron and a bitter orange. Either they were a rare naturally occurring hybrid or they were man-made. In which case, life does not give you lemons. Birds need gravity to swallow. So a bird in space would die very soon. Edit. I understand there's no oxygen in space. But by that logic humans couldn't survive in space either. I meant if they had space suits like humans do. If you're a woman revolted by the smell of your guy's gym bag, but find yourself sometimes aroused by it, that's when you're ovulating. A 2008 Prius can float. At least for short distances. Car was not damaged in any way. If you want to burn down a building, put potato chips in a toaster with a trail leading from the toaster to other highly flammable things. The potato chips leave no residue and the toaster will pop back up after the chips catch fire, so there's no way to find the start of the fire. Rat poison is actually an anticoagulant mixed with stuff like fiberglass. Because rats are always scraping and squeezing into stuff, they build up these minor injuries. The anticoagulant stops their blood from clotting properly and they internally hemorrhage to death. Since a human being is a lot bigger than a rat, rat poison is much less effective on us. Owls have tube-shaped eyes, rather than spherical ones. This makes it difficult to move the eyes in their sockets, but is counteracted by the ability to rotate their heads 270 degrees in either direction. The male fossa has a thorny which not only hurts females during mating, but makes it nearly impossible to escape while doing so even if it's forced. Bones can be some of the most effective and terrifying shrapnel, second only to liquid copper. Bones splinter when you put them in bombs, and can do horrific amounts of damage to soft tissues. Liquid copper, on the other hand, which is not that difficult to get in an explosion, can get through almost any armor like it's nothing. Learned that from a friend who did a tour in Iraq as an infantryman. Judith Barcy, the 10-year-old girl that voiced Ducky in the first Land Before Time movie and Anne-Marie in All Dogs Go to Heaven, was murdered and set on fire, along with her mother, by her father, who then shot himself. That Disney is the biggest importer of explosives in the world. Edit. This commercially they don't beat out the US Department of Defense. An adult's collarbone will break with 8 pounds of perpendicular force. A child's breaks at 12 pounds. When the German army captured Stalin's son, Hitler said that if the Soviets release a German general, then Hitler would give Stalin his son back. Stalin replied, "Why would I trade a general for a lieutenant?" That's right. Stalin was so serious that he wouldn't release a single POW just to get his own son back. You can get prescription methamphetamine in the U.S. Trade name Desoxin. Used for extreme ADHD or extreme obesity. Cocaine is commonly used on small children in pediatric trauma centers. Since cocaine is an anesthetic and a vasoconstrictor, it is applied topically to control pain and bleeding in children that are too young to handle morphine. That pawpaw trees smell like. Edit. The fruits taste spunky as well. That a male human body which weighs approximately 190 pounds will literally melt into a standard Sears La-Z-Boy recliner when left in the heat during the summer, fusing itself onto the fibers. Also, the smell is unforgettable. Also, dying alone and nobody knowing you died really is sad. Tarantulas taste like shrimp. I told this once to a random stranger because they brought up how they didn't like shrimp. They immediately hounded me about how I knew this. No, I never ate a tarantula. I read a Reddit comment that said it once, then regurgitated it as fact, and they challenged me and I looked like a dweeb. Now I know why. It's cause they're both arthropods. You hear me, random Uber passenger I picked up 2 months ago? Arthropods. Stalin's mum sent him to study to become a priest. He didn't like studying, so that he joined a socialist group. He then became an atheist and was expelled from school for failing to attend end-of-year exams. It takes 10 million bananas to kill you from radiation poisoning if you ate them all at once, or 274 every day for 7 years to die from radiation poisoning. Edit. My top comment is about radiation of bananas. Yay. Second edit. I am not advocating suicide by bananas. Those fake roses that come inside a glass tube at gas stations aren't pretty decorations. They're crack pipes. According to some cannibals, the most delicious part of the human body are the eyeballs. They like licking them. Edit. I'm not the cannibal, and thanks for the silver.